Hello there and welcome back to the Bence podcast. In this episode, I would like to talk about the cultural changes what came from the gaming industry. This idea was given to me by one of my dear friends, Mr. Medve. Thank you very much for this idea. So, this podcast, I want to talk about how gaming has changed over the years and just talk about in general the gaming industry. So I thought, it would be a good idea to start with like my personal experiences, because I think that would make it all relatable and maybe I could explain it better through my own eyes, but we'll see. So, but before we do this, I would really appreciate if I could get a like, a subscribe, and most importantly share. Like, that would mean quite a lot to me. So thank you very much, and let's get into the podcast. So I remember when I was maybe 10 years old, just playing on a computer didn't even seem possible. I mean, I knew there were games on computers and you were able to play games, but I don't really remember because I was 10, right? So I don't recall how gaming was really back then, but I know after school most of my friends and I, we just went out and go on our bikes and cycled, around town. We just cycled, hopped on our bicycles, went out, gathered in groups. Everyone was outside. I remember my parents always telling me, "You're always outside. You shouldn't be outside this much. You should be at home sometimes." But that was the only way to socialize, really, back in, I don't know, 2005, or because I was born in 95, so in 2005 I was 10, and I was in third grade or fourth. I'm not too sure now, maybe third, yeah, and it just seemed, so natural. Go outside, cycle. When the things where you had fun was in the forest near the river, the lake, and that was it. Like, around town there were spots where you went and that's where you hang out. Like, that was it. And I remember when I got my first phone, it was, I don't even, like, Siemens MC60 it was called, I think. My grandfather gave it to me and he had probably 1 or 2 games, I'm not too sure now, but it wasn't good. Like, you played on it, but it didn't occupy you for a long time because it wasn't fun. And then I remember when I got my second phone, it was a Sony Ericsson W200i, I think. And it was such a great phone. Everybody had that. It was very popular. And it had a few games, and you had the option to put games that were written in Java on it. And, it had an infra connection, so people would just send games over to each other. I remember when you had to get 2 phones and hold them together so you could transmit the data, like songs, pictures. Like, there were, like, Bluetooth wasn't even that widespread. Like, you had to use infra, and it was so slow, and the connection had to be perfect. Like, it had to be aligned. It was ridiculous. And I remember, like, a whole class, it took me like 45 minutes just to transfer one game, probably. It was very slow. And I remember when we started to use Bluetooth, it was so fast. It was mad how much technology has changed. But anyway, yeah, so I remember we used to play games on our phones. It was alright, it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't something you thought, this is amazing, this is unbelievable. So anyway, we were just playing on our phones. Yeah, and I was around 10. Then I remember some of my friends started to have computers. And I was like, oh man, this is the best. I want to have a computer. But my parents just didn't get one for so long. Like, I don't know. But that was the last time I was proper bored. Like, I felt like I'm dying from the inside. Like, I want to do something. I want to do something cool on a computer. Because it was just amazing. It just I don't remember my first interaction with a computer, but I know it was very impactful because I just wanted to have one. Like, that's all I cared about, and I was constantly nagging my mom to get a PC. Eventually, after a few months or probably years, I don't know how old I was, maybe 11 probably, or 12, I genuinely don't know. But we got PC, it was shit. It was so slow, it didn't, I don't even know what spec it had, but it was slow. Any game, it just couldn't properly run. Like, it ran on the lowest graphics settings, and it was still so good because I think I had a Windows XP by that time, or 98 or 95, I'm not too sure. But I remember playing with Doom. Like, that was like, Doom was such an amazing game. Like, I still remember the first level, and you know, we used to play with Doom, but most of them with the games that already came on like Windows, like Solitaire, Minesweeper, Heart, what was it, Pinball. If that didn't occupy us, then we just decided to draw something in Paint, and then we just printed it out, put it up on the wall, and look, I drew something on the computer. It was unbelievable. Then we had the internet. Oh yeah, Jesus! I remember when the first internet we had was, like, if you picked up the phone, the internet would go away, or if you were on the internet and someone would answer the phone or try to call someone, then the internet wasn't available. And it's so funny, it was so slow as well. It took forever to anything to download, and you couldn't really use it much back in the day because you knew, like Google, but nothing was very like international. You only knew about regional website. Like, I'm from Hungary, and I knew some of the Hungarian sites like startlab.hu or who, and that's where everyone went. Like, there was a collection of links, and you could play games, you could read news, you could do whatever you want. And that was the first really experience with the internet. Like, I feel like me being there when we were just growing up with the internet, where it really started to become what it is today, and just seeing it all through, it's just like, it doesn't seem real. And also, I remember using floppy disk. Like, nobody uses floppy disk anymore. Like, the internet on your phone is faster than how much data you could store on a floppy disk. Like, you can download like 5 or 6 floppy disks a second. It's mental. Like, even like CDs are no longer viable, because 700 megabytes, what the CD can store, you can download it in pretty much in a minute, really. Like, most internet connections are able to provide to download one CD in less than 60 seconds, and it's just mental. Or like, hold on, let's say 100 seconds, so it's like, what, 1 minute 40 seconds. But anyway, like, it's faster to download it from the internet than to actually copy it from your disk drive. I mean, I'm not too sure about it, but anyway. So that's how I get to start to experience this whole computers, and they just really blew me away, and I just wanted to get into there. And we used to play board games, like, you know, that was it. We didn't have access to computers. And yeah, playing with Minesweepers, no one really knew. You just clicked and hoped you'd win, but you never won because you didn't understand the rules. Like, you understand it now, but you just didn't know how to play, and you hoped you win. And that, you know, hours and hours you played. Yeah, and also, I remember the first social media sites back in Hungary, like MSN. No, my VIP, my VIP, and eViv. Like, those sites were before Facebook, and everybody was on there. And there came a time in 2007, 8ish, when everybody was on these social media sites, and you had MSN. It was a chat program from Microsoft, and that's where you talk. Like, I remember calling my friends to arrange a meeting or to go out, and then you just logged on to your PC, went on Amazon. That's it. You were able to talk, and it's strange how much it has changed. Yeah. So all right. I don't know what was my first real PC game. It was probably Prince of Persia, but I'm not too sure now. But it was a good game, the first one. Or no, maybe even it was 2D. Maybe Aladdin 2D. I think I remember playing with that one as well. And I just played them with hours. And then the first 3D game I played with, I think it was Colin McRae 2, I think. I don't know. It was a rally game anyway, where I spent days playing. Like, I woke up in the morning, I went to bed in the evening and played all day. I just sat there. It changed so much now. And by really going into gaming, when we had the internet and people were able to share torrented and pirated games, and you didn't even know how to crack a game. Like, people were talking about cracking, and I was like, well, what's cracking, and you lie to your friends, oh yeah, I crack all my games all the time, but you didn't know what you were talking about. And basically cracking is just overwriting the pirated or the original content with the pirated one, so you could play the games. And I remember playing GTA, Vice City at the age of 11, 12, and San Andreas after. And those two games, I spent so much time with, like, completing it to 100%. I didn't even know what they were, what the story was or anything. I was just playing, but I still watched the videos even though I didn't understand. And I think that's how I learned English from video games and from the internet. It was essential for my learning, I think. Video games and the internet. It helped me a lot to base my foundational skills in English. Anyway, so alright, so I want to talk about now, this strange fact that it was a big controversy that I think in the USA or the UK, or I don't know where now, but playing 18 plus games or like violent games, it was bad for young people. And I remember being 12 and getting a prostitute from GTA Vice City, and if you had sex with this prostitute, your health would go up. But then once you're done, the girl would get out, and then you would murder the girl to get the money back. And I thought, this ain't right. But still, I didn't, went and show up the school or went out and started killing prostitutes. I think this is fake news, really. Violent games don't make you violent. It has to be something else. But anyway, it's strange. Playing, killing people, blowing shit up, but it didn't make me violent. I understood it was part of a game, and I was still able to think about my actions in the game, but I was able to justify it by saying, this is just a game, and in real life I would treat people differently. It's understood it was a video game. But yeah, and I also remember games being so difficult, like games like GTA, Vice City and San Andreas. Your friends printed out a sheet with all the passwords, and then you highlighted the most used ones, because those games were proper difficult. Like, if you can complete those games without cheats, and like most games back in the day, they were very difficult, I think, and you had to use cheats on a big portion of them to complete them, because it was proper difficult. And from GTA 4 they introduced the checkpoint system, and that enabled you to not use cheats, because you were able to complete games without cheats. Like, there are not many games with cheats anymore, like where you have to use cheats to like really progress in the game, because games are a lot easier now, I think. So I think, yeah, games used to be more difficult, but I don't know if it loses some value because games are more easy. But it certainly makes them more accessible to more people. Yeah, so that was one. Oh yeah, one of my favorite games was Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. That was a very good game. I played that quite a lot, but that was a bit difficult as well, I think, sometimes. But it's just exploring, and it felt revolutionary. This gaming has changed so much. Especially, I remember Crysis, the game called Crysis. When it came out, people were talking about, oh, look at the graphics, and then it became a huge meme that no matter how good your PC was, you just couldn't run Crysis at maximum graphics because it was just too demanding. But I think Crysis has changed the game up properly, because people started to care more about graphics than they actually did about gameplay, and I'm not sure, that's okay, because it shouldn't be about how beautiful a game is if it's fun to play. So I highly disagree that the graphics matters more than the actual gameplay. Like, so many people just said, oh, look at the graphics, it's so shit, but actually you don't play the game for the graphics, you play it for the gameplay, don't you? Or at least that's me. Yeah, and now we want to talk about what piracy has done, because I remember, I admit, I don't want to incriminate myself, but I definitely agree. When I was young and my parents didn't have money, and they certainly didn't give me money to buy video games, your only option was to go online, pirate, buy and download games. You crack them and then you play it. That was normal. Everybody did that. You downloaded movies, music, books, whatever, everything. You just download it for free, and piracy didn't feel like a crime because everybody was doing it. And it was very accessible. It's not like killing someone, but it certainly. Now I understand why piracy is bad, but at such a young age, you didn't even think about it, because, oh yeah, fuck hell, it's just free games, you just play them. And it's bad because nobody really thought about it, but when you run a business, you have to be profitable, right? Because you have to pay everyone, and then all the profits you make, you have to invest it into another venture or another game to make more money for your shareholders. And piracy has changed the whole business model of these companies, and I don't blame them. And they came up with free to play and freemium and all this shit. Like, you get the game for free, but in order to progress, you have to purchase like gems and gold and all that sort of stuff to actually get somewhere or actually do something. And I don't blame them, but certainly it's not good. So, just in a quick minute, I would like to ask you if you would think through your actions why piracy is bad. And I think piracy is bad because, me personally, I appreciate games focus on the story and the actual single player experience, because I don't like multiplayer games really, because it's good to play with your friends, but multiplayer games mostly need to be free in order to get loads of people in, and that means they have to get the money from somewhere else, from skins or from gold, gems, whatever, purchases mostly. And while I understand why that business model exists, I just prefer, purchase the game once and then play as long as you want, a single player, right? That's what I like. And if you look at The Witcher 3 from CD Projekt Red, I think they've done a great job, because their DLCs were quite cheap and they were almost like a full game. Like, the Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine are probably my favorite DLCs, undeniably. And Witcher 3 is, by the way, one of the best games ever out there. I've played so many hours, and I understand it's difficult to satisfy your shareholders because you can't always deliver profits, and you have to decide what's more important, to treat the customers as someone who are passionate about gaming, or look at them as someone, oh yeah, we can milk the fuck out of them and then make a lot of money. And it's not easy, because if you get a director who understands why they're in this business is to make some money and also do a great artwork, do a great game, and you have other kinds of people, other kinds of directors who say, sit down with the shareholders and tell them, listen, I can make you a lot of money, just put me in charge and we'll get this done. And they're not as passionate about the art and the gaming side, they're more focused on the money. I mean, it's a difficult business because you have to combine art and profitability in order to survive, and also piracy just messes this whole thing up. It's not good. So I recommend, think about what's your opinion on piracy, because if you make something which you would like people to enjoy, but also you put so many hours in there, sacrifice so much, you would like to be compensated. And just do something artistic, and try to sell it, and you will see just one person buys it and then puts it on the internet for free. You would be disappointed as well, because you spend so much time on working on that. So just piracy is not good. If you can purchase through legitimate sites and platforms, try to avoid like these third-party sites like G2A and all these like CD key sites, because you're not supporting developers. Those just keys are being sold there. So yeah, piracy is not great. Just think about it, really. It's better to support someone because you couldn't see more, and supporting someone means you want to see more, and they will be more happy to do the project and continue. So yeah, because of piracy, just look how much has changed. You have gaming on phones. I remember back in the day when Zynga, one of the first biggest Facebook as a platform, when it opened up for game developers, Zynga was, they had like Farmville. I remember we had IT classes and everybody was playing with these Zynga games from Facebook, and that was such a massive change, because everybody thought, oh, it's just sheer online games. Nobody really thought about them as gamers. And now look at the what it actually developed into. It's mobile gaming is, I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's the biggest revenue generating industry in the gaming service industry, inside the gaming industry, because platforms like Google Play and the App Store from iTunes, they make so much money from in-app purchases. It's probably ridiculous. Also, gaming on phones, all these companies can target bigger audiences because everybody has a phone, but not everybody has either a good PC or have the time to really play, or access to a console. So gaming on your phone is a mess. There is a massive audience there, what you can target and then get people to play. You can also target older people, so that's why you see people like 50-year-old people playing with Candy Crush, because it's just on your phone and then you just play in your spare time. And it certainly is, like, everybody looks down on those gamers, but those are real games, aren't they? It's just people play, but it's a different taste. It's not really a competitive FPS or whatever. And yeah, gaming has become a bigger industry than all the movie industry in the whole world. There's so much money in there, that just imagine, imagine Twitch. Twitch is mostly gaming. It makes so much money. All the streaming services like Mixer, what other majors are there? Like Mixer, like D-Live as well. And I know they have a section called Just Chatting, but even that is, like streaming is strange, isn't it? Because like you watch other people play, like you could play it as well, but it feels like you're part of a community, and you can, like, you can't even read the chat sometimes, and you can make so much money. This is another thing. I remember when I was younger and my parents came up to me and said, you shouldn't play as much because you will never be able to make a living out of playing games. Now, go and help your mother or something. And, I just show my parents, look at them. They are being watched by 10,000 people simultaneously, and they make a shit ton of money from playing video games. Also, esports is massive. Like Dota 2, it pays so much money to be an actual professional. You can make millions. Like, you're 19 and a millionaire from playing video games. Like, what more could you really ask for? It's unbelievable. You're 19 playing video games and a millionaire. I think so many people, like, also as an if you are competing in esports, you get a sport visa to enter a foreign country. I think that's mental. Yeah, loads of money in esports. Now let's talk about. We have too many platforms now. I remember back in the day there was only Steam, really. There wasn't really anything else. There were maybe a few other companies were offered to buy games from, but Steam was definitely the first. That's what made Mr. Gabe Newell, probably one of the richest persons in the world. How much is his net worth? Gabe Newell. He's 57 and is worth $3.5 billion United States dollars. Jesus. The creator of Half-Life and Steam. Yeah, he's a big meme guy. We like him for that, certainly. But yeah, too many platforms. Like, you got Steam, you got Origin, you got Epic, you got Uplay, you got GOG, you got I don't even know. There are loads and tons out there. And like GOG is a bit different because there you can purchase DRM free, so I understand why they are a bit different, and there's certainly a market for there. But like, you don't want to have games on different, like, I will be honest here, I only purchase games on Steam. I really, really don't want to purchase games on either Origin or Epic, because I'm just not interested to, have a games library there and have a games library on Steam. I just want to have everything one place, Steam, that's it. I've got like hundreds of games there, mostly from like Humble Bundle. Oh yeah, that's another good idea to talk about, like, bulk selling games while not very popular, and you get to pay like $1 and you get like 10 games, and also you support charity. I think Humble Bundle is a great idea, and you also support the developers and Humble Bundle turned out to be another platform. I mean, you can only purchase keys from there, but it's still is a good way to purchase games. But yeah, I think too many platforms. I mean, it's good it's good to have some competition, but also you're kind of drawn to, I just want to deal with Steam. And I think Steam is here to stay, and it will always be number one, or at least for quite some time. Something exceptional has to happen to be Steam to be overthrown. And I'm pretty sure of the other platforms and struggling. Oh yeah, let's talk about subscriptions, because all these platforms now are trying to, like, Origin has Origin Access where you can play games for a monthly fee, or Uplay Plus, and is there anything else? Oh yeah, on Xbox you got Xbox Game Plus, and I quite like the idea that for a fixed monthly fee, for let's say £14 or something, I don't know now, you can play hundreds and thousands of games what are in the library. The best is Uplay Plus, because it offers all the DLCs, if I'm correct, and that's just the best idea there is, really. I'm really, looking forward to what the subscription-based model will turn out to be like, because it's better for cash flow, isn't it? And that's what most companies look for, cash flow. Cash flow is king. And even single player games, but like most people, we play through once, they don't even care about the achievements, they just play through, they don't really care, and then that's it, they don't even touch it anymore. And that's why so many games, also the business models I was talking about, just change, because people, if they spend tens of thousands of man hours developing a game, they want to see some people retention, so they keep appreciating the game. And this is why single player games are a difficult business. So I think it's better if they're on a subscription model, because at least after the sales have declined, they can still get some revenue by offering it in a subscription service. I like subscription services because if you have the time, they are the best, but it's the same with like all the subscription models like Netflix and all them. They're good, but also you have to spend so much time to get as much value out from them as you have paid for it. So it's difficult, but that's what they play on there, sorry, that's what they try to capitalize on there. Most people will get less value out of them than how much they have actually paid for. Good tea. It was still a bit hot, so that's why it's in one of that thing. Okay, now one of the final topics I want to talk about is playing on consoles. So just another story time. I was 14 or 15 when I got my first console. It was an Xbox 360. And I remember it was the best thing ever, because I never used to have a good PC, never. And I couldn't never run games, I could play a game in the worst graphic settings at like 20 FPS, because that's what my PC was able to perform. And once I got an Xbox 360, it changed my life, because I was able to game all day, all night, go home from school playing, I'm not afraid to admit it, I was a huge gamer. And, I loved that I was able to play so many games. I had tons, and just, I also liked the achievements. This is another thing I want to talk about. Let's just write it down. Achievements. Yep. So playing on consoles, I had an Xbox 360. Yeah, I loved it. So many games. It's just, I like the online menu and everything it was great. And just quickly, pros and cons. Like, if you are mostly a casual gamer, and don't want to spend or invest tons of money into a PC, as long as you have a good, quality TV, preferably with a game mode, so the latency isn't too big, you can hook it up to relatively cost-efficient console, what's mass-produced, so the costs are a lot slower or smaller. And if you've got a console, game developers have to only optimize it for one system instead of like multiple. So I think consoles have certainly got their advantages. Disadvantages, I don't really know. Like, they got, I don't know if they got many disadvantages, because as I said, they are cheaper than a PC, good online services, loads of players, exclusivity, and all the like. So you know, it's quite good, I think. So consoles are good. What's better? Well, Xbox 360 was better than the PS2. The PS4 is better than the Xbox One. I just sold my Xbox One because I wasn't using it at all and I didn't like it, the menu and all this sort of stuff. I prefer PS4. I've got PS4 now. The games were better. Also, this is another thing. I hope in the future what Microsoft started to do is they release the exclusive on both PC and the console. So I no longer really see the reason why you should get an Xbox. I don't know about the next Xbox what will be coming out. I don't even know what it's called. It's something stupid like Xbox Series 1X or something. It's like ridiculous, preposterous. Yeah, I hope Microsoft will release all the exclusive on the PC as well, so you don't need to get an Xbox, just a PS and for the exclusives and a good PC, I think. And if you're a gamer, that's what you need. But also, exclusives are disappearing now because most developers and studios just release the games first on a console, then wait a year, then they release it on PC. So I don't really see much point in having a console anymore. It's for the exclusives really. If you're a gamer, just get a PC. If you are one of the casuals, just decide, you know, get one of the other. Or if you haven't got much time to play. So yeah, that's about consoles. Now, what I really want to talk about is trophies and achievements. Trophies and achievements motivate me so much to play. If it's done well, it just motivates you to really play through everything in the game, like do it for 100%, because you get some sort of feedback, like yeah, you got 10 Gs, or you got diamond trophy to complete the game. You know, it's just something. Well, me personally, it motivates me. I don't know about you, but I always look for ways to complete the game for the achievements. It brings me pleasure to do that. Oh, what's wrong with my voice? I might have the coronavirus, who knows? Yeah, and as a closer, I think would be a good way to reflect on gaming, just from my personal view, is when I was younger, I was so obsessed with gaming, but now that I'm older, it's just I'm not that interested anymore. Like I still play, but it just doesn't bring me as much pleasure as it used to. And also having a lot of time, I'm older now. I have to take care of myself. I have to go to work. I just haven't got the time. So as an adult, if I'm a young adult and single, so when I will have to, take care of my family and my parents and my community and all that, I just won't have time to play really. And wasting time on playing, it will be a luxury. I don't think you can afford it. I think playing and gaming is certainly for the youngers, and that's why mobile phones and mobile gaming just became a huge thing, because you can, if you got a spare 5 minutes, or maybe on the bus or the commute home, or on your lunch break or whatever, you can play a little, and that is it really. So I just haven't got time to play. And also everybody should decide, does really playing worth my time? Because I could be productive, do something else what would be better for me, for my family, for my community, for society, for humanity, whatever, in the long run. Or do I just waste time, playing games? I'm not too sure, which one you should pick. Like, if you like playing games and you don't really care about, being a responsible adult, just keep playing. But if you really want to make something of yourself and do something in your life, I think you should really reduce the time you play with video games, and then just do what you have to do. And I'm not saying don't play video games and don't waste time on things like watching movies and all the other stuff, because you have to have a hobby, right? But it's just and especially like some games like Dota 2 and these competitive games like FPSs and whatever, competitive multiplayer games, problem with them, you have to invest so much time, and you just haven't got that much time. You know, it will be wasted. Like, you can spend thousands and thousands of hours. Like, if you like the game, you know, fine, but you really have to ask yourself, do I really want to base my precious life on playing with video games? I know it won't even matter anything in about 10 years time, because it's just, you know, in 10 years time it will be a dead game probably. Should I really waste that much time in there? Because it's fun, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm sorry if I'm not reasoning well, but just think about it. Like, do you want to really waste that much time playing with video games? Or maybe you should try to look for something else to, like, maybe develop yourself, read and learn, or do something productive. Certainly, as I grow older, I realize I get more joy from getting shit done and being productive than with playing video games. I just feel like playing with video games is a waste of time. So that's me anyway. You know, you can decide for yourself. Yeah, and I don't know if there's anything else to add. If there is, I might do a part 2, but for now I think this is it. I'm gonna close the video down and the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate a like, subscribe, just comment something down below what I have missed or what you would like added maybe in the next video, and most importantly, share it with your friends or on social media. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for listening, and I probably see you soon. Thank you very much. Peace.